Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 3060 Ti in Assassin's Creed Mirage. This one is the Founders Edition model of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups. GPU 0, taskbar bar is also enabled, and over on the left, we're pairing it with the i5-13600K at stock speeds and 32GB of DDR5 6000 MHz RAM in dual channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright. Let's go over the settings first. I'm starting at 1080p resolution, and we're also going to test 1440p and 4K with and without DLSS. We're using 100% resolution scale, so it's native resolution, of course, and the high settings preset at the moment. I'm going to make a couple of changes, though. I'm going to disable motion blur as well as adaptive quality, so it stays at 100% render resolution all of the time, and the upsample type is set to TAA now. We're also going to use DLSS, as I told you. Alright, so this is the first time that I am playing this game. I just bought it for the second time, actually. The first time it was in one of those key websites and they didn't deliver the key. That's why I'm late today, but I'm sorry about that. But yeah, now I bought it on Uplay as well. And as you can see, this is a really nice experience in terms of FPS. It has a couple of stutters here and there, probably just loading the map and stuff. We just started once again, so I'm not gonna bash it for that. And it looks pretty good in my opinion. You know, it doesn't look like next gen or anything. It kind of looks similar to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, maybe a little bit better actually in terms of lighting and shadow quality and so on. But it runs extremely well, as you can see, above 100 frames per second all of the time on the 3060 Ti. No CPU bottleneck. CPU usage is also pretty low. Of course, CPU is a little bit overkill for a 3060 Ti, but I doubt like a 5600X would bottleneck a card like this by a long margin at least. So it should be fine with a CPU like that as well. But the effects look pretty good as well, guys. Look at this. I like it. It's finally a game that you can play at 1080p high settings with no issues whatsoever, and actually it will run absolutely fine considering these results at 1440p as well, maybe even at 4K without any upscaling. What is this? Are we in 2023 actually? I also have the game installed on an SSD. I only have SSDs in this PC right here. And today, funny story, actually not so funny to me. I was gonna test the 3060 Ti with the 5800X 3D as usual. You know, I reserved the 13600K for higher end cards with an overclock and so on. This is at stock, yeah. My motherboard, the X570 Tomahawk from MSI, actually died on me, guys. It was a terrible day yesterday. All right, over here, I think it might be a really intensive area for the CPU, actually. So if you have a lower-end CPU, you're probably going to be CPU bound around these areas right here. And notice that the power utilization on 3060 Ti is actually not at 200 watts. It will be at the higher resolutions when we push it a little bit further, but that's the same behavior as like Starfield, and people were losing their minds saying that, oh, Starfield is not utilizing all of the power because it's a CPU bottleneck or whatever, and it's a bottleneck inside of the system. It's just how some games work. Oh, we also have this little graph right here to see where it stuttered a little bit. The bigger spikes indicate a bigger stutter, of course, and the bigger ones were actually noticeable, all right? I hope that they smooth out as we progress right now into the video. All right, so next up, I guess we should try like DLSS just to see how it looks here at 1080p. You don't really need it. Oh, you can use native DLSS. That would be like DLAA, right? Interesting. Will it give us more FPS? I don't think so, right? Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It looks, yeah, it has that DLAA, DLSS look. It's not pixelated whatsoever, but it's a little bit softer than I'd like. You can adjust the sharpness filter though, so that's something. Yeah, I can notice that it's probably not one of the best implementations of DLSS. Still, it's here, and at the higher resolutions, it will be a plus, obviously. Also, I kind of want to see if there's a chromatic aberration setting here. I don't think there is. Maybe I didn't notice it, but okay. How do I drop this guy, by the way? I want to drop. Okay, there we go. There we go. Good stuff. Now we're. Oh, now that I dropped the guy, you're all scared of me? Are you serious? Can I rob you, by the way? I want your camel. Come on. Give me your camel. All right. Sorry. Let's start counting our FPS here with DLSS. This is a little bit higher refresh rate experience, you know? Instead of getting like 110s and 120s, we're now up to 130s and 140s at times. Still drops into the 120s, but it's going to be a little bit smoother. And you know what? Compared to the native setting here under DLSS, it's looking pretty similar to that. DLSS quality is really good these days, guys. I'm on a 42-inch monitor, that's why I can see that it's a lot softer than it was before. But I know that's on a 23-inch, 24-inch 1080p monitor, which are very common, of course. It will definitely look really good, even with DLSS enabled. Knockout, knockout. Yeah, there we go. That's a really fast knockout. Collect what? What did I collect? The DRAM. Okay, we got 2 DRAMs. Nice. Also, you can see that the GPU is still the bottleneck in the system here with the 13600K. I wonder if we set the DLSS setting to like ultra performance, it will be CPU bound? No? Still not CPU bound. And whoa. That actually looks pretty good for ultra performance. Holy crap. Let me just check because I usually get this wrong. I want to see the internal resolution that it's actually running on at the moment. Alright, so at 1080p ultra performance, the game actually runs at 360p. This is 360p that you're looking at the moment. Holy crap, dude. Are you crazy? How is this 360p? I mean, at the distance, you can see that things are pretty pixelated a little bit, kind of fuzzy, you know, noisy at times as well, but it looks insane for what it is, and still no CPU bottleneck, by the way, so there's a lot of headroom there on the CPU side of things, which is nice to see. Let me check like FSR2 on quality and see how it looks. Yeah, that also looks really good. FSR2 on quality also looks insanely nice in this game, guys. Again, a little bit softer once again, and my initial impressions of DLSS here with native stuff or even quality stuff were pretty meh, I think, because of the chromatic aberration, because it doesn't work very well with chromatic aberration, the upscalings, you know, it just emphasizes it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, if you don't care about chromatic aberration, or if you have a smaller monitor, which you will have on a 1080p resolution, it looks great, guys. What about XeSS? Since we're here, let's just take a look at it, all right? Okay, it also looks really good. All right. Nice. It's really great to see that all of the upscaling technologies here today in this Assassin's Creed game are working really well. Now let's bump it up to 1440p resolution with 100% resolution scale and the same high settings with no motion blur, no adaptive quality, and the upsample is set to TAA. Gotta set this to native as well, so it's native resolution. There we go. Much sharper image at the moment. And look at those FPS still, guys. That is absolutely amazing. I'm going to start counting our FPS. VRAM seems to still be enough at 1440p high settings. A couple of stutters here and there once again, unfortunately. Those seem to be happening quite often, actually, right now. But they're not as distracting as stuttering in other games. Like Remnant 2 had some terrible frame drops. Compared to this, this is nothing. Like, a lot of people are saying that 3060 Ti class GPUs with this tier of performance, they are not very good for 1440p gaming anymore. But clearly, they're still capable of doing it absolutely fine as long as the games are optimized. And it looks good at the same time, you know. Some textures don't look amazing. Yeah, over here on these sticks of wood, like, look at that. It looks pretty terrible, actually. But it's only there, and it's not maxed out, you know. So textures could still improve a little bit, I guess. Can I rob this camel right here? You know, it's such an inconvenient place. Why can't I just hop onto it and ride the bastard? Oh, boy. All right, let's go outside, actually. Yeah, this is the vegetation that I was telling you about that I wanted to see if it's a little bit more intensive and stuff. Also, at 1440p, we are getting close to those 200 watts of power utilization, and that does not mean that it was a bottleneck. Oh, what the hell? Oh, okay, of course, this is all a simulation. Way to go, Ubisoft, breaking my immersion. Oh boy! Also, it started stuttering a little bit more. You probably noticed it once we got out of the little city right there. That's because it started loading this area right here. Again, if you play for enough time, they will smooth out, and it's not really game-breaking in my opinion. Like, at least we got really good FPS and decent visuals at the same time. I like it, guys. 94 FPS average with 66 1% lows at 1440p high settings on the 3060 Ti. Now, what if you want DLSS, of course? You always got that option, and since the resolution is a little bit higher at the moment, it will also look a bit better than 1080p, and there we go. We're above 100 frames per second. What the hell is that? Resin, probably. Alright, yeah, the vegetation, by the way, is a little bit pixelated with DLSS enabled. A little bit more than it was before. Especially when you're running through bushes and stuff like that. But still, yeah, it's not a problem, guys. VRAM is also completely under control, no issues there. The game also doesn't utilize a ton of RAM, system RAM, only 10 gigabytes. Yeah, I mean, it just does not perform like a 2023 title, and that's an amazing thing, because 2023 titles actually perform like 2026 titles. For some reason. Alright, hi. I'm just gonna knock you down. Why did you drop your sword? He dropped his swords too. Oh, no, I didn't want to carry him. I just wanted to collect the things. Hey, hello. I'm just gonna... Ah, no, I'm not doing anything. Come on, okay. Oh, maybe we should go. Maybe it's time for us to go. Yes. Oh, boy. 113 FPS average, 79 1% lows. The stutters are still there, unfortunately. You gotta live with that, but even standing still right here, it's still stuttering slightly, which is kind of weird. But it's not enough to drop our 1% lows, and it's not the end of the world. Okay, now it's time for 4K resolution on high settings, my friends. And I think with DLSS enabled, it will still be able to achieve 60 plus FPS all of the time. It's dropping, but it's still around 60. That is insane. How crazy is that? I mean, the GPU would get like 20 FPS in Starfield, which arguably can look worse than this, you know, in some areas. For sure. Also, sorry about the screen tearing since we are around 60 frames per second and I got no VRR enabled with a capture card because it doesn't support it very well. Supposedly on paper it does support it, but it sucks. But it's insane. You can actually play this game at 4K native resolution high settings, guys. They just don't care at all about me. Yeah, let's just take out every single one here. They're clipping into things as well. I don't like that too much, honestly. Depth of field looking pretty exaggerated right there. And a little bit of a bug there. That's completely normal. Who cares, right? As long as the games run well, I don't care about a little bug. It definitely could be worse, and before I hopped into this game with the 3060 Ti here today, I thought it wouldn't be capable of running this at 4K, considering everything that we've seen so far, you know? But it clearly is. If you want native resolution, all you need to do is drop the settings slightly to like medium, and it will probably give you those 60 plus all of the time, or at least like 60 plus on average. But now let's enable DLSS, set to quality right here, and it should give us a really good boost. There we go, 80 frames per second. We were seeing 59 right here, now we're above 70. It looks exactly the same, I'm gonna say that. I can't tell a difference whatsoever at quality DLSS. At 4K. Hello, Jack. How's it going? Oh my god, he jumps on top of me. Oh, that's so cute. That's the cutest thing ever. I love it. It's like Ubisoft made this game for me. No, they didn't, because otherwise they would have fixed the stuttering. But yeah, it's almost like they made the game for me. We already saw Jack. Are you crazy, dude? And who's that right there, guys? This is Bob. I'm gonna knock out Bob. That was so easy. Are you kidding me? What? How is that even possible? I'm sorry. I thought that wouldn't work, you know. The guy was a higher level and so on. Oh my. All right. Yeah, it apparently won't really drop from 60 FPS. Maybe in some more intensive scenarios, you know, if you get to a bigger city, for example, later on into the game, like here, for example. Yeah, it might drop then from 60 FPS, since it's like 66, 64 right here, for example. But, you know, that's not the big issue. It's freaking 4K on a 3060 Ti in 2023. So just drop this to balanced and it should still look really good and give you a good boost in FPS. Instead of getting 60s, we're getting like higher 70s now. Yeah, I can see that there's a little bit, slight bit more shimmering on some things, but overall it still looks really amazing, especially on the hair. Like the hair looks a little bit shimmery when I move. Totally worth using this if you have a 4K monitor, you know, and even performance sometimes looks pretty good. So let's see it at 4K. Yeah, it still does. It still does look pretty nice. All right, I'm gonna stop it there, guys. This is performance DLSS at 4K. It still looks very acceptable. It would look very good on a 27-inch monitor at 4K, or even a 32-inch monitor. And next thing to do is increase these settings. There isn't really much of a difference between like high, very high, and ultra high. I would probably choose to play this on high, honestly. It's a good balance. Let's try it out on ultra high since it performed so well on high settings, right? I'm just gonna go ahead and set this to TAA, native resolution, disable motion blur, disable the adaptive quality, and set it to 1080p. Here we go, back to 1080p using the ultra high settings with TAA native, and it's still well above 60 frames per second, even when maxed out, guys. Look at this, and even when seeing this vegetation around us right now. Whoa! That means that even at 1440p, it's probably gonna be a sick experience, especially with DLSS quality enabled. That is amazing! I shouldn't be this impressed, honestly, since the engine is the same as the previous game, and it kind of looks the same as well in a lot of areas. But I mean, the previous game already looked great, and recent titles that are 3 times more intensive don't look any better than this. So just use older engines, I guess. Also, I gotta say, I actually thought there was something fishy going on. Maybe the story isn't that good. Maybe it isn't that long because the game is $50. So yeah, maybe this isn't really a fully fledged Assassin's Creed title. It's not really that great, but in terms of optimization and the performance, at least on average, without counting those little stutters sometimes, it's great. Alright, so at 1080p you can definitely use it at native resolution, ultra high settings, no issues whatsoever. If you want a little bit higher FPS, wow, it actually jumps like crazy, like 120s right now. That's insane. It's so much smoother as well. So yeah, if you want that higher refresh rate experience, even on ultra high settings, it is gonna be possible, guys. Shh. Shush with the copyrighted music, okay? Thank you very much. Oh, hello, Jack. Once again, I'm not going to pet you because I want to go to the middle of the town, which I think it's right here, yeah, with a lot of NPCs. FPS are dropping a little bit, as you can see. 120s or 110s, I guess. Lower 100s at times, actually. Okay, so it gets way more intensive here, but it's still a high refresh rate experience. And it's good. It's very good. Let's go up to 1440p next. Here we have it, 2560 by 1440. The resolution scale is locked there because the DLSS is enabled. Let's set TAA to native. Make sure this is 100%. Yep, let's go. Back to the game. 1440p ultra high settings, native resolution. It's getting a 60 all of the time, 60 plus all of the time. What? Are you actually kidding me? This might actually be running better than Valhalla did. Again, it could be because it's a smaller game on the same engine with the same graphics. I am impressed. I just did not see this coming. Whoa, alright, big stutter right there. Again, I guess it's loading things. It might not be loading things at this point because we've been playing for a long time already, 40-something minutes. So, yeah. I'm starting to get a little bit worried about those little stutters there. We don't have any problems here on this PC, obviously. I've been running it a lot with my 40 series GPUs. It's been flawless in a lot of games without stuttering. And I have the game installed on an SSD, of course. I even installed another SSD into it, a faster one and a 2 terabyte one. Yeah, the RAM is overclocked. The only thing that's not overclocked is the CPU. Also, at this point, that VRAM usage is actually pretty high, almost touching 8 gigabytes, so it could be stuttering slightly more because of it, but it's still not enough to drop our 1% lows. All right, anyway, 84 FPS, 64 FPS, those are the numbers without DLSS, so it still keeps it above 60 FPS all of the time, even without any upscaling, at ultra high 1440p. So with DLSS enabled now, it gets like 15 more frames per second. I guess it's gonna be good for an average of 100 frames. Again, it's stuttering quite a bit. Right after I apply the DLSS settings, it seems to have some little trouble adjusting or something. You know, loading the things that it needs to load, whatever. Hi. No, I'm not dead. I'm not dead. I am very much alive. I am running away from you. Can't you see that, guys? It's so dynamic as well. There's wind, there's things flying, little bugs. Are those bees, actually? If they're bees, isn't this a pretty dangerous place to be? Like, I'm pretty sure those are bees, guys. Everybody's just chilling here. Hello, Jack. Come over here once again. Beautiful boy. Anyway, in terms of graphics here, ultra high settings, again, looks very similar to high settings. If you want the extra FPS from high, go ahead, do that. I don't feel the need to do that, honestly, because it already runs really well, even on ultra high. All right, lastly, we're up to 4K resolution using the ultra high settings. This is not going to be as good, obviously, as before. Let's set it to TAA first. Those FPS are really low here in the menu, though. Oh, I see what's going on. The FPS are really low because it was still loading. That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say because the VRAM is completely maxed out and it started swapping things into RAM. But the good thing is, it doesn't seem to be stuttering more because of that. So aside from good visuals and good optimization, not great optimization or great visuals, by the way, it also doesn't drop FPS like crazy or start stuttering like crazy because of the VRAM being maxed out. A lot of titles these days, when you max out that VRAM buffer and starts utilizing some system RAM as VRAM to offload some textures to and so on, they start stuttering like crazy and start being completely unplayable. Well, not this one. 40-something FPS sometimes, 53 on average, and it touches 60 very rarely here on ultra-high settings. Water seems to be really intensive, actually, using these settings. Look at that, 41 FPS. Interesting. We should start testing more water then in the next few videos. DLSS set to quality now. Let's take a look. Alright, it went from like 41 FPS here to 50 plus basically. A good bump in performance for sure. VRAM usage went down slightly, but the RAM usage is still up. So it seems like it's still swapping some things. And yeah, you can get 60 FPS right here. It will drop, obviously. You already saw that it will drop, but this is good performance for ultra-high settings. Still, if you're playing at 4K, just stick to the high settings with quality DLSS, and it's gonna be a smoother experience. So that's been it for this one, guys. Just gonna set it to like balanced while we go through the outro. There we go. Yeah, we're getting like higher 60s, lower 70s now with balanced DLSS. Still looking gorgeous, of course, in terms of resolution and the sharpness of the image and stuff. And yeah, it's ultra high settings. Can't wait to test more cards here. Probably the next one is going to be like the 1050 Ti to see how it performs on a lower end GPU. And catch you guys in the next one very soon. Hope you enjoyed. Love you all. Bye bye.